Hey, homies. If anyone can get all 10 and only 10 and no extras on this one, I will be extremely impressed. But you have to be able to explain them all too. So, have you ever been to, sorry, not ever, have you been to Mount Rushmore? 60-foot tall faces of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln are carved into Mount Rushmore's stone hills. When sculptor Gutzon Borglum, who has the best name in the history of names, first saw Mount Rushmore, he said, "America will march along that skyline." Borglum begun work in 1927, but he died before the work was finished. The work was complete by his son, Lincoln, on October 31st, 1941. All right. Gravy?
There should be a question mark after have you ever been to Mount Rushmore?
Right, that period should be a question mark. Megsy?
Should there be like those quotation marks on the front of America because after skyline has them?
Yeah, we're quoting exactly what he said. So there should be opening quotes before America. T-Bone?
There should be a comma where Thomas Jefferson is, right?
Right, between Thomas Jefferson and Theodore Roosevelt, they're two different people, so they are separated by a comma in a list. Maddie?
What? I don't have
You don't have any more or any?
I only have three. Most of the three I had.
Rotten luck. Michaela?
The word began or begun should be began.
Borglum began work. Yep. Begun is the past participle, so it can only exist when it follows an auxiliary verb like had begun, something like that. Yeah, Emma?
A comma after 1927.
Why?
I don't know. Seems right.
A comma after 1927, does it seem right to you guys?
Yeah.
It is right, but there's a reason that it's right, not apart from the seeming. And hopefully I'm going to be able to make you understand what the reason is. I'm not 100% confident that I'm going to be able to explain this to the point where you're comfortable with it, but I'm going to try. So, but is a conjunction, like and, or, and so on. Before a conjunction, you sometimes have a comma and sometimes not. And it depends on what comes before the conjunction and what comes after it. So, Gravy, don't nap yet. So the simple explanation here, too many markers in my hands. The simplest way of looking at a sentence is subject and verb. We don't have to get much farther than that into the grammatical terminology for almost everything in grammar to be able to be clear for you and for you to be able to write without mistakes. So Borglum is the subject of the sentence. He's the person that is doing the doing, right? Whatever the doing is that's being done. Come on, that's pretty good. No? All right. Whoever's doing the doing that's being done is the doer. Sorry, I mean the subject. Now, after the conjunction, in this case, we have a new subject and a new verb. That wouldn't always be the case. But here we have he died. So that means we would need to have a comma there, because otherwise, well, really, this should be a whole new sentence. He died before the work was finished. We've just joined two sentences with a conjunction, two full independent sentences. So that's why we need a comma there. Everyone with me so far? Okay, now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Because he and Borglum are the same person, what I could do is I could take the word he right out. And the sentence would mean the same thing. Right? Borglum can be the subject of both of those verbs. Right? Borglum began work in 1927 but died before the work was finished. Do you agree with me on that? That would mean the same thing? So if we do that, though, we cannot have a comma here because it would separate the subject from the verb, even though the sentence means the same thing. So there has to be a new subject after the conjunction, after but or and a new verb in order for it to warrant a comma. So if we simplify that, I see the wheels kind of turning a little bit. He walked and talked. Right? So and is the conjunction. We don't need a comma there. He is the subject of both walk and talked. Right? That seems fairly straightforward. But if we say he walked and she talked, then we need to have a comma there because we have new subject, new verb. Okay. That was the hard one. Now, what else, less complex than that, do we need to change in here? Gravy?
I'm just trying to think where, first song now should be capitalized.
Did she steal yours again?
Sorry.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore. They got it a couple more times, but they tried to sneak one by you here that wasn't capitalized. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 more.
Something with 60-foot tall sounds wrong. I don't know.
Something with 60 foot tall sounds wrong. I'm kind of with you on that. But it's not wrong. It does, however, probably need some explanation. So normally you wouldn't spell out the word 60, but 60 here is the first word of the sentence, so it has to be spelled out. And the reason 60 foot tall is hyphenated together is that it is one adjective describing faces. So we can hyphenate together theoretically any number of words to be used as one adjective. Well, this is not a good example for that. Anyways, the point is that 60 foot tall all have to be taken together. You have to take those three words together as modifying faces. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense grammatically anymore. Because what is a foot tall face? And there are 60 of them? Wow, that's a lot of foot tall faces. You know, like this. So that's why it's hyphenated together like that. And it does look a little bit weird because, again, we wouldn't usually see the word 60 spelled out. But it's right in this case. What else do you guys see in there?
Into should be one word.
Into should be one word, yeah. Gravy?
Could it be the work was completed by his son?
The work was completed, yeah. It should. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There should be another comma after Lincoln, like by his son Lincoln.
Here?
No. Last sentence.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right. There should be 2 commas around Lincoln. Because he's extra information, we don't need to know what his name is. We could say the work was completed by his son on October 31st, and the sentence still means the same thing. So commas before and after Lincoln. And so that's 9. Last one is an apostrophe. Mount Rushmore's stone hills. There's only one Mount Rushmore. So anytime you're saying Mount Rushmore's with an S, it would always have an apostrophe, but here we mean the stone hills belonging to Mount Rushmore. So that's your 10. Any other questions or concerns you have in this one? Okay. Then let's look at